Okay, this will be an interesting one. Maybe a challenge potentially. I'm thinking this one is really quite subtle in some ways, so I'm thinking we're going to use photo paper to get a nice result, I'm hoping. I don't know how big we're going to make this one. We're going to just look at it. Let me put it there. It's going to be a movement demo anyway, so we're going to make this look really nice, hopefully. Contrast. Going to make it a little bit low contrast instead of full. This one's going to be a really interesting one to do. We're going to lighten it a bit. This will be fascinating if we can get this one to look really whacked out and interesting. Soon find out if it's going to work out nicely. It's a really pretty looking image. It's a fantasy image. Alright, let's see what this fantasy image is and if we can make it look good. I just got here, it is, you can see it's one of them lenticular, it's a fridge magnet, it's a lenticular image. It uses that plastic with the little grooves. You can just make out the grooves and the two in the images, and it's meant to look 3D and have some movement. But we're going to make this into something interesting. We're going to try and see if we can make this lenticular image really not interesting. So I'm going to think, how big are we going to make this? 290 that way, 290 this way. So it's going to be distorted. I'm going to move it around and see if we can get that movement to come up in the copy. Let's see how we go. We're just going to put it there and move it around. I'll use the camera hand to push the button. So we just make some movement there and see what we get. I've only done one other lenticular image. It was off a CD cover, but I didn't move it around and it didn't look all that great, unfortunately. But let's see if we've made this one. Whoa, that's unexpected. Looks like we don't have hardly any image. We just make out the little unicorn in the image. So this one's going to call for probably, that would have been the good choice if this is going to actually work. This, but we might have to lighten things up a lot more. So the copy density is going all the way there, and I'm thinking maybe the color balance, we're going to just drop it down to the standard amount. Just going to drop it to standard and see what happens. So let's see if we've made this a better version, and let's see if we've made it big enough. It looks like we can make it, I don't know, we'll keep it at the same size. We're just going to grab it again, hold it in my hand again. So this is our lenticular image. We're just going to put my hand on the top edge rather than on the glass, and we're just going to move this around. See, move it around in a sort of randomish sort of pattern and see if reducing the density and the colour balance has actually helped make this come up a treat. But it is experimental, and yes, it looks a bit better. We can now see the image of our horses, or rather that would be classified as a unicorn if we want to get really trivial about it. So I'm wondering if we're going to use that as our master copy, and maybe we can crop it and make it into something, maybe a mirror image. So we're just going to, I'm wondering if we're going to just keep the moved image, or if we're just going to do another one. We're going to move it differently. I'm thinking maybe a little bit more density might help. I think maybe we've made it, oh, it didn't beep this time. That's really strange. We're just going to make this a little bit heavier. We're going to leave the colour balance out of it, and we're just going to simply do a little bit of a darkness tweak again, and that maybe we can move this around more in a more interesting fashion. Just using my camera hand to press that button, and we're just going to try that again. See if we've made that look more interesting and if the colours are a bit more vibrant. But yeah, that's part of the fun, is experimentation. It's just part of what I do, is trying to make things more interesting. That looks better now, colour-wise. I think that looks It's still very low contrast. Wonder if we're going to do more with it, or if we're going to leave it like that. Maybe make that the centre. Maybe we can enlarge a section, maybe 200%, a little section out of that. But that, you can see the lenticular pattern there, it looks interesting. So I'm wondering if we're going to do another, or if we're going to just put this will be on, I'll put this probably on my fridge, hang on to it. It's quite a nice image. I don't believe in unicorns. I know they're only a fantasy. It's just like fantasy, like Harry Potter or the Lord of the Rings, that sort of thing. It's fantasy. You know, fantasy's a lot of fun, but you just don't believe in it. Some people, it appears, believe in things like unicorns, but hey, they're still beautiful as a mythical creature to admire the appearance. Very creative idea, the unicorn, you could say. I've got to just overlap that ever so slight. But basically, I don't believe in unicorns. I just think they're really nice little fantasy creatures. Still, you can get good life lessons out of watching fantasy movies. Sometimes you can find something really that can help you understand life a bit more, and people, and maybe. So yeah, it's not all, fantasy is not all a loss. It can be a very good way of learning about things, life's lessons. But basically, yeah, you just don't take it literally, basically. Now we can drop the contrast a bit dark, a bit contrastier, just in the middle. Let's see if we've made this look even better. You'd think that, you think even as a scientist, you'd think that unicorns were a possibility. You know, you'd wonder if there wasn't, if they could exist, but I'm sure they don't exist. But basically, some people like to believe in them, or maybe they're just like big kids, they just want to have a fantasy. But that still looks too dark. I'm going to have to lighten it up again, but that looks quite nice. Wondering if maybe I could move it up a bit because of that edge. It looks good if I can maybe slide that up a bit. So we just make it a bit higher up, get rid of the corner that's missing. I think we can make that look a lot better if we do it that way. And maybe we could again lighten things up a bit to make, it's very much a pastel kind of a thing. So I'm wondering, we've got the colour balance ramped up full blast. Maybe we'll just do the copy density full like that, and maybe the contrast will stay in the middle. Wonder if we're just going to maybe do some of the colour balance, maybe drop some of the colours, maybe we'll just drop them to 0 and see if this comes up any good. I do hope that's not too much of a lightening up of the copy. It's not the easiest original to work with, or at least the copy is, even the copy that I did of it, the master copy is still hard to work with. It's not the easiest of originals. But let's see how that goes. That's really pastel. It's probably too pastel. That looks a bit better than that, I do think. So maybe we're just going to go back on what we were doing. We got rid of that corner bit. So I'm wondering if we're still going to go here, and we're just going to once again correct ourselves. I think the darker version, however dark it was, is probably the better version. We don't want it so light that it's just wishy-washy. We've got to, it's like, but it's easier to see it through the camera than it is to see it on the, through just, maybe the exception is going to be that. That's going to stay light, and we're just going to see if that works. and see if maybe we got to try and get a little compromise, maybe a little bit between the dark and a little bit between the wishy-washy image or the light image. This is probably not going to be the best demo I've done. It's not an easy one, but I think that's a good compromise actually. It's even without the camera, I can see it. I can see the creatures. I am wondering if I'm going to maybe push it up a bit higher to make it a better composition. So that's a good colour setting, or good copy quality or image quality setting. We're just going to do ourselves a little favour and maybe push this up a little bit more to improve the composition, and maybe we might have to enlarge it a bit more once again. So this is going to be a real prolongated demo, this one, by the looks of things. This is not the easiest of images to work with. Okay, let's see if we've improved the composition by lifting the image. It looks a lot better. I'm wondering if we're just going to lift it a bit more or just leave it. I think leaving it should be all right. I think we're pretty much close enough. Pity we don't show the horn of the unicorn, but it still looks like a nice image. So now we're just going to run off this image. Going to make this into our mirror image, not mirror, sorry. Okay, out comes this one, and we're just going to take these and we're just going to put them on touch the corners together. So let's just do that. That is quite a nice little bit in the middle, I can see. Now let's see, we're going to now run off 2 copies of our mirror image versions to complete the job. So we're just going to find it. Sorry folks, this user interface is a silly design. We all know who designed it, Konica Minolta. Yes, the manufacturer. Okay. Right, this is going to be a very long demo, but let's see if maybe it's been worth the effort. Working with an image, a type of image that isn't exactly easy to work with. I haven't had much experience with lenticular images being used in my work. They're interesting. I don't know if you can see much of the lenticular effect except for the stripy bits that show the surface of or you can see a little bit of rainbow there, which is really quite nice. So now we're just going to line these up. Okay, just having a little bit of trouble here. Try and get these little bits together. Whoops, we just accidentally bumped it. Damn it. Just try and straighten it up as best as we can. Whoops, we're having a bit of trouble here, guys. Just a little bit. I think that's good. Well, that's out of position now. It's not being... I think that's good enough. I think now we can call it quits, but that looks quite strange, but it looks interesting. I think now it's still not quite accurate. I'm just going to push that one down a bit, get the eyes to line up a bit. I think that looks a bit better now, so I think now we can call it, this prolongated demo, quits.